Hey parents, it's spooky season, but not just because of Halloween. Every week there is a new, legitimately scary story about AI, probably every day. But instead of hiding under the covers, let's turn on the light and talk about what we as parents and caregivers can actually do about it. I'm Sarah, the founder of AI Empowered Mom, and this week on the AI Empowered Mom podcast, we're doing something a little different. This is a solo episode, just me and you and the ghosts all around us, inspired by one of my favorite spooky book series from my childhood, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I'm not talking about the movie. I don't like scary movies. I'm talking about those scary books with the black and white pencil drawings. These were the books that we weren't supposed to read before bed, and we weren't supposed to take to sleepovers because they were too scary. But a lot of them were just like urban legends where maybe there's some truth and some lesson to be learned, but probably they weren't exactly real. That's what I want to do today. I want to talk about some of the modern scary stories about AI. They don't involve ghosts or monsters, but they do tap into some of the big and legitimate fears we're hearing from parents right now. Fears about privacy, about jobs, about screen time, about what this all means, this AI age means for our families. So I'm going to walk through scary stories one by one. And instead of leaving you terrified, I'll go through the facts for each of them and what stands behind them. And then we can think about together what we can do as parents, as caregivers, just as humans trying to raise good digital citizens and be them ourselves. So without any further ado, grab a cup of tea or something stronger, get cozy, and let's get into our first scary story. Scary story number one is nothing, absolutely nothing that you do online is private. And unfortunately, this is true. It doesn't matter if you're using an incognito browser. It doesn't matter if you're deleting the chat. Nothing that you do online is private. There is a digital footprint of everything we're doing somewhere. And this was made incredibly real earlier this year when Google accidentally indexed tens of thousands, maybe more, ChatGPT shared chats, which made them searchable online. So just unpacking a little bit what that means. That means that users of ChatGPT were chatting with their friendly chatbot about some topic and then clicked that little share button to share it with someone else, whether they might have shared it with themselves or they might have sent it to a friend or a colleague. They hit the share button, which created a website in effect. And after that happened, Google accidentally or inadvertently indexed those, making them searchable online. I saw on Reddit the number of passwords that were being exposed. Certainly personal information was being exposed, and people did not intend for those chats to be made public. OpenAI eventually walked that back. Their chief information security officer said that they removed the feature because it introduced too many opportunities for people to accidentally share things that they didn't intend to. But this is just one example of how things that we might assume that we're doing online could be private, especially with AI, but it turns out they're not. So as parents, as caregivers, here's what we can do. We can treat everything that we're putting into AI as something that might become public. It's not our private journal. It's not our diary. It's not our therapist, as we've talked about so many times. So no names, no addresses, no personal information, no details about your children that you wouldn't want made public. And when it comes to the kids, I love thinking about the grandma rule that if you wouldn't want your grandma or your Google to see it, don't type it in. Okay, so that's scary story number one. Number two, scary story is that AI is taking all of our jobs. AI is coming for us. And headlines say that robots are coming for everything, even the people that build them. And you know what? The headlines this week, just this very week, showed that Amazon was warning employees that AI efficiencies would lead to robots taking jobs in the future. Even Meta announced that they are making cuts to their own AI team. So it is true that the workforce is dramatically changing. But the good news is there will be other jobs opening up just the same, just in the way that the internet changed jobs and where people previously had jobs, for example, like as filing clerks. Those jobs don't really exist anymore, but now a number of jobs have replaced that in different ways. I think we'll see the same thing when it comes to AI taking jobs. But as parents and caregivers, what we can do now and today to preserve ourselves during this time of transformation is to work on our own AI literacy, which we're all doing together in the AI Empowered Mom community. Being adaptable, trying to show our families that we're learning AI right alongside them, that we're not afraid of it. And we can focus on the skills that AI can't replace, like our empathy and our creativity and our connection. and the context that we have, all the experience that we have built over our lifetime. So as we experiment with AI and learn more about it, increase our AI literacy, that improves our career prospects for the future, and it also models good behavior for our kids. So that's scary story number 2. Let's move on to number 3. This is a serious one that literally does keep me up at night. The scare is that AI is burning up the planet with the growing power demand, creating a serious climate issue that is cause for concern. And this is true. Sources like MIT are reporting that the explosive growth of AI data centers is creating an unprecedented surge in electricity and power and water demand that threaten to overwhelm power grids. And I saw an estimate from Reuters that demand from US data centers could use up to almost 10% of all of our electricity in the next 5 years. And one proposed data center project is estimated to consume as much energy as 1.5 million homes over a decade and a half. So it really is the demand that the generative AI, the growth of AI and data centers is creating, and the for electricity, for water that data centers are putting on our grids and our natural resources is unlike anything we've ever seen before. But there are things that we can do. As parents, we can use AI with intention. For example, generative AI chatbots like ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. These are tools that are meant to generate new text. They're predictive models, so they predict the next likely response based on the training that they are given and the data that they have been trained on. Not every question that we have as parents or as people requires an answer to be generated. So I'm trying to be mindful to use search when I need an answer, and when I'm searching for something, and use generative AI when I want an answer to be generated or created. And I don't need to use the largest, fastest, fanciest model for everything. So another small tweak that we can do as parents and caregivers is opting for smaller or specialized models. And that's one thing I am feeling really hopeful and optimistic about in the future, are the rise of these smaller language models. We don't need to rely on a model that's trained on every bit of data around the world that it can get access to. Domain-specific models are coming, and they're coming soon. So if we have health questions or legal questions or questions about parenting, I look forward to a time in the future when we can ask domain-specific models, which will require less power and less energy. But I guess the bigger thing about this scary story is, while I applaud the efforts of parents and caregivers to be mindful of their AI use to make sure that they are not unnecessarily taxing the planet, my worry and the scary story for me here is that parents and caregivers will opt out, will let their fear of harming the environment cause them to not use AI, and let this opportunity to increase their productivity and efficiency and improve their lives pass them by, which could create greater gaps in things like gender equity. So my hope is that instead of opting out ourselves, we can make small decisions like searching instead of generating when we need just an answer, not something to be created, and that we can continue to put pressure on companies whose scale is so much greater when it comes to the harm that AI is doing to the environment and when it comes to the impact in helping reduce this problem. So I hope that we can all talk to our families about digital sustainability, be mindful of the models that we use and using AI with intention. But really, I hope we can put pressure on the companies who are creating these tools to make sustainable choices and help preserve our planet. Okay, another scary story that is based in fact is the fact that AI is building deepfakes and increasing disinformation. The scariest part is that your likeness or the likeness of your children or family members could be next. We see it already. The internet is full of fakes. Our kids, our parents, even me and you might not know how to tell the difference between AI-generated content and real content. And the recent launch of OpenAI's Sora tool, that's the video generation social app. It's a standalone app created by OpenAI. OpenAI is the company that created ChatGPT. It just came out a month or two ago, and on the one hand, it's unbelievable the quality of the video that can come through from a simple prompt, but it's so frightening how realistic the videos can be that include the face, the likeness, the body, the look of actual real people. And it's so realistic that some experts warn that it could prompt a collapse in public trust in video evidence, that we might live in the future where we just believe that everything we see on video is fake. until it's proven otherwise. Another scary aspect to this is that our teens are especially vulnerable. A Stanford study recently found that a large number of students couldn't reliably distinguish real from AI generated images, and tools like Sora are only going to make this more difficult. But we don't have to go to bed scared. There are things that we can do as a family and as caregivers to help safeguard those that we love. One of the things that we've talked about in the AI Empowered Mom community before is having a family safe word, because videos can look just like you or can sound just like you. Having a safe word in your family so that if you were to get a call from a voice that sounded just like a family member or see a video that looks like them, you could ask for the family safe word to know what was real. It's the same kind of thing that we used to have before we would get in the car with a stranger. This now applies to digital literacy and digital safety too. We can also, as families, as caregivers, and as parents, teach our kids to question content that makes us feel a certain way. I try and do this myself when I see those clickbaity headlines. Think about, how does it make me feel? Who wrote it? And what was their goal? And it's the same thing that I want my kids to think about when they see something that makes them feel bad or sad or scared. Think about who wrote it, how does it make you feel, and what was their intention or goal for this particular episode. I created this content. I hope that it makes you feel maybe slightly spooked in the spirit of Halloween, but my really true intention and goal here is to provide parents and caregivers with the tools that they need to create a safer digital future for their families. So to recap, AI is scary. There's a lot to be scared of, not just around Halloween, but throughout the year, but that doesn't mean that we should opt out. When it comes to privacy, we can treat everything that we're doing in AI as something that could become public. When it comes to our jobs, we can work on our own upskilling and AI literacy. Rather than freezing, we can model that behavior. When it comes to the planet, we can use AI intentionally and apply pressure to companies who have the scale to really make a difference when it comes to the internet. And when it comes to deepfakes, we can question the things that we see online and teach and enforce media literacy with our families. Scary stories only have power if we stop them halfway. If we don't go all the way through to the end to learn how the scary story is resolved or think through about what we as parents and caregivers can do, then we might remain scared. But my hope is that in this community, we can take our awareness, we can model curiosity, and we can take action. We won't opt out because of the fears that surround AI. We will stay informed, we will stay engaged, and we will keep modeling good digital habits for our family and those around us. If you have a scary story about AI that I should have covered today, give me a shout and let me know what's on your mind. You can reach me always at contact@aiempoweredmom.com or find me at aiempoweredmom on Instagram or the dreaded TikTok. If you would like to join the first edition of our AI Empowered Book Club, we're reading Careless People, and we're going to meet later in November virtually. So give me a shout and let me know, save your spot, and we'll put you on the invite list. And thank you so much for indulging me in this spooky episode. I wish everybody a happy Halloween if this reaches you before and afterward, looking ahead to a scary but manageable future with AI. Thanks again.